So it's dark. Not the kind of dark where your eyes adjust after a few minutes. So dark that the shadows, they swallow everything. You can't see the nose on the front of your face, as my grandma used to say. The air is very thick. Every little sound echoes, and it's unnerving and unsettling to you. You can hear people breathing, besides just yourself, because you're grouped together in a place that some 400 men should not be grouped together. It wasn't designed to hold that number of people. It's not a palace. It's not a place of victory. It's a cave. And somewhere in the midst of that cave is someone who is supposed to be king. But instead of wearing a crown, he's covered in dust. Instead of commanding an army, he's hiding from another one. Instead of ruling a nation, he's just trying to stay alive. Now, if you walked into that cave, you would not expect to come into a place where worship is happening, where songs are being sung, where praise is going on. But that's exactly what you find in this cave. Because it's from this cave that Psalm 34 was born, out of that darkness. That is exactly what you'd find. And it's not in a time where everything is good, where everything in life makes sense. But this is written in a time of uncertainty, pressure, and fear. And that's what makes this psalm so powerful. Because God isn't saying, I am near you when everything is going well, when things are smooth. You've got everything figured out. He's saying, I am near you right now. Not when the struggle's over. Not when all the answers have come. But when you're in that cave. Let's open up to Psalm 34 and read verses 1 through 3. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be continually in my mouth. My soul will make its boasts in the Lord. The humble will hear it and rejoice. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. And now, I can't prove that the psalm was actually written in that cave. And I wouldn't try and do that anyway. But we know from the account in 1 Samuel 21 that that's where he goes. And we have this little note right at the beginning of the psalm that says, a psalm of David, when he feigned madness before Abimelech, who drove him away, and he departed. And we know from Samuel that after that incident, he goes and hides in a cave for a bit. It could have been written from there, but I can't prove that. But it was certainly written in a time that was that dark. And if you follow that through, that's what you see, is this terrible time for David. And somewhere in there, with these kind of things going on in his life, he writes this psalm. And that's where the psalm begins. It's It's a little surprising. I will bless at all times. I think it's easy for us to say that phrase when life is good. But that wasn't written from a place of comfort. It was written from that place of pressure that we talked about. It's not praise after deliverance from something, but praise in the middle of need. That tells us something immediately. Praise is not controlled by our circumstances. It's anchored in something deeper because it's a decision, not a reaction. He says, I will bless. That's not accidental. That's not some emotional overflow that we're talking about here. That's a decision that he's made, a settled commitment in his mind. No matter what is happening around me, I'm going to direct my thoughts upward to God. That's a different kind of faith. Because all too often, I live like this, and maybe you do too. If things go well, I praise. But when things go wrong, I panic. But here, the praise comes first. What would the impact be if that were my response in a dark situation like that? Praise first. Thank you, God, for challenging me. I know that you are growing me in some way. I may not see it yet, but I know that you're there for me to see this through. That viewpoint is the type of thing that's going to spread, which is what we see in the verses here. It's what happens with David. David's mindset, his conviction, it spreads to the others. My soul will make its boast in the Lord, verse 2. Again, now notice he doesn't say anything about himself. He's not boasting about his escape or his strategy. Look how smart I was for faking my madness. What a genius I am. He boasts in the Lord. It's the Lord that delivered me from that. And that is catchy. That's what happens when he does this. That's verse 2. The humble will hear it and rejoice. Because that encouragement becomes contagious. And that faith becomes strengthening. And one person's praise becomes another person's hope in that moment. And so, let's bring this into our real lives. What is the first thing that comes out of your mouth when pressure hits? Is it frustration or fear or complaining or just silence? I'm going to figure this out on my own? Or is it praise? Because what comes out of our mouths is what's filling our hearts. And so before the next situation you find yourself in changes, and then you give praise, change your speech beforehand. Not some fake positivity, but intentional trust. I know you're going to be with me through this, God. Because praise is not pretending that everything is okay. That's not what I'm asking you to do here. It's declaring that God is good even when things are not good in your life. It's leaning on him in those difficult times. Which leads us to the next set of verses. We have a God who responds. This is 4 through 7, where it reads like this. I sought the Lord and he answered me, and he delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces will never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and rescues them. Now this psalm shifts for us from declaration to David's experience. It's no longer just a general truth that we're talking about here. This becomes personal because David said, I sought and he answered and delivered me. That's simple but powerful. I sought me. Little old David sought and God answered. He doesn't say, I figured this all out by myself. I fixed it, I overcame it, my genius got me through this, but I sought, he answered. Is that as comforting for you as it is for me? We see that he was delivered from fear, not just the trouble at hand. Did you notice that subtlety there? Delivered from all my fears, not just circumstances, not just the fact that, he might have been hiding in the cave or at the very least running from enemy forces there, but from fear, from dread, from terror. That's internal weight that we're talking about here. Anxiety and uncertainty and the what ifs that we struggle with in our life all the time. That's critical. Because often the situation that we find ourselves in does not change immediately. But something inside you can. We are able to draw on the strength that God provides for us. Verse 6, this poor man cried. There's no pretense here. There's no strength. There's no self-sufficiency in this quote. Just honesty. I am needy. I need God's help. And that's where the response comes. When David acknowledges his need. We see this idea of surrounded, not abandoned in verse 7 here. The angel encamps around me. The angel encamps around those who fear him and rescues them. That's military language that he's using here. It's when the troops go out and they are preparing for battle, or they're getting ready to defend a city or take a city or a fort. Either way, they encompass it, they encamp around it as protection. The angel of the Lord does that for those who fear God. I don't know exactly how that happens. That's for a deeper study, but that's powerful too, isn't it not? Because we're not talking about occasional help here, but a constant presence. Not some distant awareness of God somewhere out there, but close protection is what we're talking about here. And I think some people don't experience this because they never get to this point of truly turning things over. They try and analyze the situation themselves. They make their own strategy, and they keep things on the inside. I'm terrible at that. I don't want to talk about things. I don't want you to know what's wrong with me. And they never cry out like the poor man that we've been given the example of. Have you ever actually brought your need, a need, to God before? Or do you just continue to constantly carry it yourself? You pray about it, but then when you're done praying, you just pick it back up and put it back on your shoulder and off you go. I'm going to do this myself. How often do we see in our Bibles that God does not respond to our strength or to the strength of the person in the Bible the story is about? He responds to their dependence and weakness when they turn to him and say, I need your help. As we move down on the verses here, 8 through 10, we get this invitation to experience. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. How blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints. For to those who fear him, there is no want. The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they who seek the Lord shall not be in want of any good thing. And now this psalm turns outward for us. Instead of David's experiences, we're talking about the invitation to those around him. Taste and see. We're not just going to hear about these things or just observe them. We can experience the Lord's goodness. It's not some theoretical faith we're talking about here. Now it's personal. And we don't learn from a distance. We have to step into it. We have to seek it. And that means we have to take refuge. That doesn't mean that life becomes easy when we step into what we've been offered. It means you've got somewhere to run. That is one way that could be rendered there, to run or to go to a safe location or to shelter, to take refuge in him. Somewhere safe, somewhere secure, a place to draw courage, and that refuge is God. We got to reframe what's good here as he does this for us. Not be in want of any good thing. It doesn't say whatever you want. You're going to get whatever you want. But that word good there, it means qualities that make something useful. Which means two things. You will be given what you need to be useful to God. And that you're not going to lack anything that you truly need. And that requires trust, because sometimes we feel like, I need this thing. If I just had this one thing. But God is never going to let you go without what you truly need. And again, I don't know that we've always experienced this as deeply as we could. Why would that be? Because we stay at a distance. We don't allow God to control things in our lives. We continue to try and control everything ourselves. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned and am still learning in my short time as a preacher is that you just have to turn everything over to God. Moving here is a good example. We prayed and prayed and prayed about it, and we let God work out that situation. Now, did we still figure out, what's it going to cost and some of the mundane things of the move? Sure. But the trust was placed in God. By and large, we had to trust him that he was going to put us where we were needed and where we needed to be. So what would it look like for you to actually taste God this week, to experience him the way that the verses are talking about? I would suggest you bring something to him in prayer that you've been trying to fix yourself. Try trusting God instead of controlling the situation. Let go of something that you've been holding on to very tightly. If you're doing those things already, that's great. But let this be a reminder for the next thing that comes up in your life. Because you don't discover God's goodness by analyzing it. You discover it by taking all of those things to him in prayer and letting him work. And stepping back and watching how that happens. Moving down, we see that we are shaped by nearness. In 11 through 18 of the psalm here, it says, "Come, you little children, and listen to me. I will teach you to fear the Lord. Who is the man who desires life and loves length of days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against evildoers, to cut off the memory of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Come now, little children. Now we take on this teaching tone in our psalm here. But he's not being harsh here. It's inviting. Come, little children, so I can instruct you. I get this picture of a grandfather speaking to his grandchild. Come on up here, sit on my lap, it's story time. Gentle, inviting, loving. When we get to the heart of the teaching here, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Yeah, there's instruction to be had here. But it flows from us having this close relationship with him. Not from pressure. That's what life looks like when you live near God. Come, children, so I can help you live the life that you are meant to. Learn from me. Seek peace. Seek peace and pursue it, it says here. And what you can see is that peace is not passive. It's something that's pursued, it's chased, it's chosen. We have to make the choice to make peace with people in our lives. And then it says that the eyes of the Lord are toward the righteous and his ears are open to their cry. That's verse 15. And this gets deeply encouraging to me when I read this. Because you are not unseen. You are not unheard. If you cry out to him, that's verse 17. The righteous cry, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. And that brings us to the nearness that we feel here. It's verse 18, we read it already, but the Lord is near the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. It's the center of the psalm. It's the truth that everything has been building towards. Not that God is only near you when you're strong, or he's only with you when you're perfect. But he's with the broken and the crushed. That's David. Think about him back in that cave again. Officially king, officially the anointed one, but hiding in a cave. But we learn that God is near him in this state. And he's near to you just the same way. And I know that because Peter quotes this psalm. That's what was read this morning for us. He quotes verses 10 through 12. No, that's 10 through 12 in Peter. And so we often feel far apart from God. Not because he is far away, but because we think that our condition disqualifies us in some way. Or they forget the nearness that God has promised to us, which is why reading things like this matter. This verse is telling us the exact opposite of that. And so we've got to stop waiting until we feel put together to come near to God. Because when you're broken, and when you're crushed, and when you're struggling, that's where he meets you. Being broken and crushed, it's not a barrier to God's nearness. It's the doorway to it. Moving on, 19 to 22. See that we've got a future that's firm. A future that's going to hold. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones. Not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be condemned. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. That's honest. There's no false promises here. There's no shallow optimism that we're talking about. He's giving us reality plus hope. Many afflictions. Our faith is not going to eliminate difficulty in our lives, but it is going to change the outcome. Delivers him out of them all. Not always immediately, not always the way we expect, but it will be done ultimately and completely. The important thing here is that there will be no condemnation. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. That's the final word. No fear, no uncertainty, no need to hide in a cave. Security is what we're promised here. Let's go back to that cave again for a minute. Nothing has changed. The danger was still real. The danger is still uncertain. Or the future uncertain, excuse me. The pressure was still there. But something else was present there too. Nearness. Attention. And care. So where are you today? Are you feeling pressure? Are you living in uncertainty? Are you having your own quiet struggle? We probably all are to some degree, one way or the other. And then remember David and his words that Peter quoted when you find yourself in that place. You are not as alone as you might feel. And you're not as far away as you think. Because God is closer than you realize. You don't have to stay distant. You don't have to carry everything alone. You can seek, cry out, take refuge. And ultimately, you can come fully into him. And that's going to happen through Christ. Christ is the one that made our nearness possible because he removed our sin. Allowed us the opportunity to have a relationship restored with him. You may feel like you're in that cave, but even there, you're not alone. Because the God who hears, the God who sees, the God who saves is waiting for you in the waters of baptism if you have not yet done that. And so if you need that this morning, we offer you that opportunity. Come forward, let us know. We'll assist you in that as we stand and sing the song of invitation that's been selected this morning.